All right, we now have an activist and advocate to discuss the incident that happened in Delta State where 12 natives of Ole have been killed, and then there's an allegation that the government did not in any way intervene at all. So we'll go on with that interview. Eririoma Genesis, interesting names. Glad to have you join us on Newsday.
Thank you very much.
Good, fantastic. Walk us through, if you would, the events that culminated in the killings of 12 natives of Ole in Delta State.
Okay, that was in October last year. 12 natives of Ole went to the farm. They were gruesomely murdered in their farms. People got there and saw that 12 people were dead, including children. The whole family was wiped out. We cried out to the government, and till today, the government has not been able to do any tangible thing about the issue. And not just that, as we speak, Emede and Igbide, the crisis there is no small thing. Right now, Emede and Igbide, people have been killed and the government has not been responsive, including our Isoko Development Union. They are supposed to work with government to make sure all these crises, all these issues come to an end. As we speak right now, they went ahead to set up a parallel youth executive. And the youth are agitating right now that this thing they have done is not good. That they should be able to, at this time that Isoko is in crisis, that they're supposed to work with government to bring an end to this crisis. They are setting up a parallel youth ESCO to even add youth problem to the problem that is on ground. So we are calling on the IDU not to add further trouble to the trouble that is already on ground. We are trying to see how we can make the state government to come and help out in a time like this. They are trying to add more crisis by inviting youth problem into what is already on ground. So we are calling on them to dissolve the interim IDU youth executive and the INYA, call all the aggrieved parties, because there's already a court case to this effect. Call all the parties and resolve this issue. We should not add more fire to the fire that is already happening in Isoko as we speak. Isoko is not developed. There is no electricity. Despite the huge contribution of Isoko to the oil wealth of this nation, the Isoko nation is suffering. No good electricity, no good roads, no federal presence in Isoko as we speak. Instead of the leaders to focus on what is happening so that Isoko can move forward, they are trying to add another youth problem to this problem.
Okay.
Emede and Igbide is there.
Let me know before you get in. What is really, 12 people murdered, a family wiped out. But what is the genesis, as your name is, what is the genesis of this particular problem? What led to the 12 people being murdered? What is in the center of the problem?
Okay, the 12 people that were murdered, according to reports, the land was kind of in dispute for some time ago. So, but that issue had been kind of laid to rest in a way. So on that fateful day, they went to the farm to work, but they met their death in the farm. So we cannot actually say what happened. But all we know is that 12 individuals of Ole were murdered in the farm.
Okay, thank you for giving us a little insight into that. I was just going to say, you mentioned that there is a court case pending on the issues, and you're referring to state government. Are we not jumping the gun? Should we not be talking about local governments and local rulers, so to speak, people who are closer to the action to resolve this issue?
Yes, that's what we're saying. We're saying that the Isoko Development Union is the umbrella body that is covering the issues of Isoko that is supposed to discuss with government. And that Isoko Development Union, we have a women wing, we have a youth wing also. Now, instead of the leaders of this development union to focus on these issues that I mentioned, the 12 people that were killed in Isoko, in Ole, and then the Igbide versus Enwe crisis, the Igbide versus Emede crisis, instead of them to focus on these issues, they are delving into the youth issues and creating a parallel executive in the youth body that is causing another crisis on top these ones that I've mentioned before. So the youth, we are fed up of all these problems. Instead of the leaders to now seek a way to reach out to government to make sure government come to our aid. They are not doing so. They want to add another crisis on top this one through the youth arm that is operating in Isoko.
Eririoma, who is the hand
Yes.
of Esau and body of Jacob behind these, problems, the one you talked about creating two parallel bodies of the IDU? There must be some people stoking these fires. And what have you people done, even as you're an activist and youth, to try in any way to settle this problem so that there can be peace in both Isoko and Delta State as a whole?
Okay. The former president, in the person of Chief Idu Amade, and some members of the ESCO, Chief Dan Odomo, and the person of Chief Akwakwa, these people, they are the ones that now installed a parallel executive. They gave autonomy to the youth because the youth body that was created before is called INYA, Isoko National Youth Assembly. And that body right now, the election that was done was disputed. And then the parties, aggrieved parties, went to court. That court issue has not been resolved. They now set up a parallel executive to run an interim government with an aspirant that contested in the disputed elections that everybody is aggrieved about. So we try to reach out to the leaders, but they've not been able to give us any reasonable thing we can hold. So as a result, we decided to engage in a protest to get the attention of both the governments also.
All right, Eririoma, thank you so much. We hope they get to the root of this thing and let peace reign.